Hey everybody, John here from incomemesh.com, and in today's video we're going to start doing some dogfights between some of the best tools on the internet for different purposes for digital marketers. And the first dogfight we're going to do here is about Thrive Leads versus Bloom by Elegant Themes. And these are two very, very powerful, very easy to use plugins for email opt-in capture and lead generations, but they're also very different. So in this video, we're going to talk about the companies behind these plugins, kind of what is Elegant Themes all about, what is Thrive Themes all about, and kind of the pros and cons of those two different choices. The feature set of Bloom versus Thrive Leads. This is where the competition really starts to diverge and you get to decide which route you want to go. Very, very interesting part of this video. The integrations between Bloom and Thrive Leads, what type of email providers link into each one, and that might be a very obvious choice for you if you use a particular email provider that's on one, not the other. Fourth, we're going to talk about the simplicity of each of these tools. Having a great feature set is one thing, but if it's too overwhelming and over encumbering to use, you're not going to use it anyways. And lastly, we're going to talk about the cost, because obviously as digital marketers, we want to make sure we're picking the right products, but within our budget. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and dive into the first comparison. Okay, so I've pulled up the sales letter, the sales page for Thrive Leads, and you can see the goal here is to build your mailing list faster than ever. And as you scroll down, you see some big names, some big features that this can do. You can see animations of all the different types of opt-in forms that you can do with Thrive Leads. 76,000 users, can't be wrong. I do agree with that. A lot of different features here. So you can go through and review this at your own time, but essentially I'll kind of boil it down to Thrive Themes is all about conversion optimization, and you'll see as we go into Thrive Leads, this is probably their second tier product, their first tier being Thrive Architect and Optimize together, and then Thrive Leads is a very close second. I've seen a lot of people who choose a different page builder, but they still come back to Thrive Leads for their email opt-in captures and placements on their website because it's very, very powerful. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. You guys can review this, but we'll go ahead and dive into that one in a little bit later. Next, we have Bloom, which is from Elegant Themes. Elegant Themes is best known for their Divi theme and Divi builder, their visual page builder. And as we scroll here, a very similar sales page where you can see the different types of forms you can make. There's definitely a big difference in the feature set between Bloom and Thrive, which we'll get into. 6 different types, how they display, a lot of other things. So you can go into it. The breakdown, kind of the difference here from the company perspective is I've always felt that Divi is one of the forefront page builders when it comes to design perspective, like the aesthetics. Their web pages kind of just look prettier than Thrive's web pages. Things tend to work a little bit nicer together. Things feel a little bit more just kind of tight when you're using the Divi builder. With Thrive, you can find yourself kind of finicky and kind of trying to get things to work just right on you, and you have to spend a little bit more time to make the design look as clean as Divi's does. The counter side to that is when it comes to conversion optimization and getting the data behind how your tools are performing, how your website is converting, I don't think that in the WordPress space, anybody can really hold a candle to Thrive. That's kind of their lifeblood, and one of the reasons why I'm speculating here, but why I think they spend a little bit less time on the prettiness or the aesthetics of their pages is because I think the data shows that even if your sales page isn't the most beautiful thing in the world, if it has the right content, if it has optimizations built in, it's still going to convert higher than a beautiful web page that doesn't have the right content. So content is king is kind of the key there. But let's go ahead and dive into the tools now, and I'll show you kind of an overview of their feature set. All right, so I've pulled up a sample website, my Thrive demo website, and I've pulled up a brand new installation of Thrive Leads. We're going to go ahead and walk through some of these features together here, not all of them because we'd be here all day, but just kind of show you a little bit about what Thrive is all about with their Leads plugin. So as we look here, you'll have an area for statistics about how many impressions you're getting on your Thrive Leads per day, how many conversions you've gotten, and what your kind of conversion rate is over time. I'll pull up later on in the video some real examples of that as we go. Then you also have several different ways of displaying Thrive Leads opt-in forms on your website. Lead groups is something that is extremely powerful. It's kind of beyond anything that Bloom has from a smart perspective. Basically, the way it works is a Thrive Leads group will be a set of opt-in forms. Let's just make one together here. It's a set of opt-in forms that can all kind of work together. So let's say we want to create an in-content form. We'll come back to it. We'll also add a scroll mat, and we'll come back to that as well. But these two can be part of a family that are in this first test lead group. And what you can do here is you can define the targeting options at the lead group level. So that means that both of those opt-in forms will kind of take the same shape and they'll show up on the same pages that you can define here. So you could set specific categories for them to show up on, specific posts, if there's one post you really want to smash with an entire lead group, or you get the idea. You can also say all posts, all pages, only on the index page, only on the 404 page, etc., etc. So we'll say if we had a tag, which I don't think we can add the tag right now. So we'll say these are only on uncategorized posts, and you can also set up exclusions to say uncategorized posts and not the blog index, for example. So you could set that up there. You can also save that to come back to it at a later time. And now these will have the exact same display settings. Okay, then kind of moving on down here, you've got lead shortcodes, and shortcodes are a lot of what Bloom does for their in-content forms. And this basically is an individual form that you can build, and it won't show up unless you actually put the shortcode into your content someplace. So we'll just make one real quick. And Thrive Boxes is like shortcodes, but instead it's a triggerable event. So this is something that Thrive Boxes is something that Bloom really leaves on the table. They don't have anything that directly competes to it. And as what I have found in marketing is that there's two-step opt-ins where you make them click a button. You don't actually show them that it's an opt-in form on the first pass. Those convert higher because they've already said yes by clicking the button. They already showed that they really want it. And then it's like, oh, just put your email in here and you can get it. Okay, they're more likely to do that. And then sign up segue, we'll talk about that in a moment. So let's look at Bloom's options here by going into the Bloom setup here. And this is a little bit simpler. What you'll find a lot of this is that Bloom is simpler than Thrive Leads, no doubt about it. So when we make a new opt-in, you have these options here of what type you want to make. In the widget area, locked content, inline, which is kind of in content, below a post, fly in, and pop up. So already, these are very similar. Bloom and Thrive Leads, they're very, very similar in what type of post forms you can make. There are a few that are missing on Bloom. For example, they don't have the full page landing mat, like where it kind of smacks you in the face and you can't ignore it. The closest they have there is a pop-up, but that doesn't take the entire area of the screen. They're annoying, yes, but I think they're pretty effective, so probably would be good for them to add that. They also don't have, to my knowledge, the ribbon where you can kind of put something very non-intrusive at the top of the screen or at the bottom of the screen, and it just hangs out there with you as you go through the page. But the rest is very similar, so we'll make an inline form here. And we'll just call this first Bloom. Okay, so what we'll do next is go ahead and set this up. We'll talk about the opt-in forms in a second, the integrations in a second, but let me just set one up here real fast. Okay, so I've integrated MailerLite with this account here. And what you get once you've integrated your account is, and you selected it, you'll have all the different tags or forms or groups. It depends on the actual email provider that you're using, what you get. But for me, for MailerLite, you get all the groups available. And so what this does is if somebody signs up through your Bloom opt-in form, they're going to directly go into that group in MailerLite. And it works very similar for Thrive Leads, but there's a couple additional features in Thrive as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and while we're on the screen, just design an example, a form here in Bloom. And then we'll do the exact same thing in Thrive Leads and show you the differences. So in Bloom, you have just template bonanza. You've got a bunch of different templates. The problem I have with these templates is they all look kind of the same, right? It's just an icon, some text, and your sign up form. Not that that's really bad, but it's very generic. And the color schemes are customizable, but not very much. So let's go ahead and just pick this guy here, a nice dark form, and we'll scroll all the way down to the bottom and say customize. Now here you can adjust the text. So instead of subscribe to our newsletter, we'll say join our tribe. And then you can also give it an opt-in message. And you can see here, it's not front-end editing. You're editing this all on the back end, and you'll be able to see it in a minute on the front end. You'll always have this preview button up here where you can see kind of what you're doing. So you can see we've adjusted it here. I mean, it is a very nice looking opt-in form, but it's just you can do what you can do, and that's it. Join our mailing list, that's fine. You can obviously bold it or underline or italicize. So we'll do that. Image settings, the only options you have are what they give you. So you've got no image, image above the text, which we can take a look at that. Okay, not too bad. Image below the text. Also not too bad. So they all look quite nice. I mean, you can tell they're designed well. Image to the right of the text. Not a big fan of that one. You get the idea. So let's go ahead and image above the text. I like that one. And then for the image URL, you can upload an image. And let's just put this example here, the teacher in front of the class. See how that looks. It looks miserable. So let's go ahead and adjust our color scheme to hopefully look a little bit better. We'll go for like a light blue here, and we'll see how that adjusts our image. You also can adjust the animations that happen when they show up. Was it ta-da? So it looks like it doesn't really let you see what the animations do unless you, there it is, unless you click through and do preview. But I did like that slide up. That seemed to be the most unintrusive. Okay, so now you've got your opt-in styling. We can adjust the colors here. Like I said, I want to do a lighter blue. Let's just see how that looks. Oh, okay, better. I like it a little bit more. Obviously, I'd probably pick a white icon, and that would look better on the dark background. You can adjust the fonts here. You've got not all the fonts, not all Google fonts, but you've got a good number. Text color, top border. You can put different border styles. You can do a border all the way around. And you can see that puts that double line there. I like the default. And then form setup, you got a few options here. Form on the bottom, right or left. Let's just take a look at the right to give you a different example. Okay, I don't like that because it just puts a lot of empty space there. So we'll keep it, we'll keep it how it was. And then the option to include single name, first name, and last name fields. So we'll do a single name. And so you'll see, you'll make a change and then you'll preview. Make a change and preview. And that's just kind of what you have to get used to with Bloom. Custom fields, you have the option to do. Additional color settings, you kind of get the idea. One thing that's nice, it makes it nice and easy for you to add additional divider styles or edge styles here. So I like those. They're just nice. And then you can also say, we will not spam you, promise. Success message text, you can, here's where you can either give a message, kind of like a success message, or you can send them to a different URL. So we're going to send them to a different URL because that's where you can do some pretty nice marketing tactics there. So we'll say, we're good here, and we'll go to the next success action. And now here, it either displays that success message you just set up in the design area, or you can say redirect to a URL. Notice there's only those two options that you have here. So we'll show you the difference there on Bloom. And then here you can just send them to a different page. We'll just send them to Google for right now. And you can generate the shortcode right here and now. And there's your shortcode. So we'll just copy that. And we can save and exit. Now, this was an in-content form, so there's no need to set up any display rules. It's not going to show up anywhere unless we tell it to. Here's one of the differences. And with Thrive Leads, we'll see in a minute, you can actually automatically implant your in-content forms directly into your blog post after a certain number of paragraphs. That gives it a nice little effect of being kind of like a commercial. After they've read through the intro of your blog post, then they get an offer there that is really enticing and relevant. So one thing that's not so full-fledged on Bloom. So let's go ahead and see this on a new post. We'll go to all of our pages. And I've built up a Thrive Architect page just to kind of show this. I'm not trying to give the edge over to Thrive, but unfortunately, I can't show off all the features of Thrive unless I'm using it. So I'll do that there. And let's delete the opt-in form they have here. And instead, in this area, let's put a short code, or we'll do a WordPress content, which is where shortcodes go. Put it right there. And we can just paste that opt-in form. Save. Okay. So another challenge here. Let me save this and reload it. It won't show up automatically, which I wish it would. But if we refresh, I think it should. Okay. So here's our form here, you'll notice if you look at this, it looks terrible, right? Like this is not what I wanted. But if we preview it, if we get out of the editor, it still looks terrible. Well, that's not supposed to happen. That's not very nice. What's going on here? Let me go back to my bloom settings. I did not plan that. I really wanted this to work nicely. But this is live. This is what we're doing here. So let's go back into Thrive Demo, go back into Bloom, opt-in forms, and let's just see if I did something wrong here. Go into our settings, design, preview. That's what I want it to look like. So maybe if I publish this, it will look better. Let's give it a shot. Okay, so edit page. Let's publish this page and view it on the front end. Still looks bad. Okay, well, that is not good. You would expect Bloom to be working with any page builder, with any theme. That's what I would certainly expect. That's not good. But what we can do, let's go and make a post, and let's try it without going into the page builder. Let's just do a Bloom second chance page. And what's nice about the default editor is you can easily select from your blooms that are available. So we'll just do this, publish this guy, and view the post. Okay, so that looks much better. That gives us the exact formatting that we had when we originally made it. So it looks like, and this was honestly a first test, I didn't expect that to happen, Bloom doesn't play nicely with other page builders. And I guess it kind of makes sense because Bloom is a product of the company that made Divi, Elegant Themes. So I guess they're kind of a one and the same, or they work really well together, but not with each other, which is a little bit sad. But let's go ahead and now dive into Thrive Leads and build out a very similar looking opt-in form. We're not going to go through all the different opt-in forms because that would just be too much, and we'll show you the difference in the editing experience. Okay, so now in the in content, we're going to go ahead and add a form in here and create our first form. Just give it some gibberish there. And now here you can see this is different than the actual Bloom opt-in, where with Bloom you had to put in the shortcode every single time. You can do that as well with Thrive Leads, but you also have this ability here to automatically show this content into the blog post on demand in a specific position on the blog post. So here I can say whether it's after 2 paragraphs, after 3 paragraphs, and then this will kind of pop in as almost like a commercial in your content without you having to add shortcodes every single time. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and edit the design. And this is what I really wanted to show on this part of the video, is the design differences between Bloom and Thrive Leads. And now here, this is kind of like how in Bloom you're selecting your template, but that was really all the customization you can make. And they all look kind of the same. Here with Thrive Leads, every single one of these looks very different. Like this looks very similar to a Bloom opt-in form, but that's just one of the many, many different types you can make here. The other thing you'll notice, if I kind of scroll up and find a good example of this, is a guy like this, where it's a 2-step operation. So let's go ahead and choose this template to show you a little bit of the differences. So now that I've loaded this guy in, you can notice it's not just a bunch of menu prompts or a wizard where you're kind of select the background color, now select the text. This is actually what it looks like. And so as I move things around, it's actually drag and drop where I have complete customization control of this. I can actually change that image out. I can even add shadow or remove shadow since it already has shadow, and maybe even add a shadow but change the direction that the sun is pointing at it. So you've got a full front-end editor. This is the exact same editor that you use for Thrive Architect, their premium plugin for building front-end WordPress pages. And I could even add a Google map. Or, you can just go nuts with it. So from a customization perspective, Bloom doesn't touch Thrive Leads. There does come at a cost, though. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. The other thing I wanted to show you on this piece is that there's no actual opt-in form. There's no email text box for them to put into. What you actually have here is this little hover button where you can add multiple states of an opt-in form. So what that means is that when you click the button on the previous view, it'll actually open up this view that will give you the email and the show me button there, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and preview this to show you how that works. Show me, boom. So it's kind of it's a two-step. So they say yes, they want the thing, and then you reveal to them, oh, I need your information before I give you the thing, and then they're like, okay, well, I've already gone this far, I may as well go ahead and type in my name and get to getting. So pretty useful tactic there to be able to do two-step operations. What's nice about Thrive Leads as well, we'll go ahead and show you this, is you don't have to have only one state. You can actually have a second state, and once you click this, you've got 3 different options. If you go for the new state option here, it's going to be kind of similar to this one where it shows the exact same content, but you can add additional things. There could be a different offer. This could be offer A, and you can create another offer. Let's just show you here for a second. So this could be offer A, and this could be offer B. And what I can do is I can create a new state. And so now we have state 1, state 2. And what we can do is on our default state here, I can take off offer B and change the action from switching state to state 1 to now I can say switch state to state 2. Now let's go ahead and look at state 2 and see what that looks like right now. And right now it just duplicated things out. Let me make sure I'm in state 2. Yes, I am. So then you could adjust this all around, and let's say I want to delete the buttons, and instead I want to change the images or whatever. But let me just, to show you, we could say this is state 2. And what's kind of cool about this is with Thrive Leads, you don't only need, it's not only there to collect email addresses. It's also good to share things. You can put a tweetable phrase in there, or you could put like let me find the share buttons, social share buttons. So you can have different calls to action based on which different states they select. So let's go ahead and save this and preview this as well. So now if I go to offer A, I see the email. Can I go back? Let me just preview it again. And if I go to offer B, it shows me a different state. So you can imagine, like, you can kind of go down different paths. You can have an ebook on this one offer or a course on another offer. Or you could say, hey, do you want to learn more? Yes or no. If they click no, you can close the form. A lot of different things you can do here. Let's just go back here real quick and show you. This right here is one of the advanced features that Thrive Leads has that I've never seen anywhere else. But essentially what this does is if you put a special link that you can create in Thrive Leads, if you put that special link into an email that you send to your already existing subscribers. So for example, I use MailerLite. So if I send it to my email list on MailerLite, instead of just saying, hey, go to incomemesh.com, I could create a special link using Thrive Leads that is called a smart link. And that feature will actually tell your website that the people that are visiting from here that click that special link, they're already subscribers. So don't show them the opt-in forms. You can actually show them a different opt-in. You could show them either something totally different, which I'll show you here in a second, or you could show them just nothing and just kind of clean it up and take all the stuff, the clutter away from the actual content they clicked on to see. So what I'll show you is we can create an already subscribed state, and then I could basically, kind of get rid of everything, and let's just start from scratch. And you could just give them a text that says, thanks for being an awesome subscriber. And what you could do is you could create like a Thrive ultimatum or some sort of special deal where, hey, because you're an awesome subscriber, here's 20% off. Use this coupon code or click here to go straight in and check out. A lot of things you can do with the Smart Links feature, but that comes at one of the costs of Thrive Leads. Let me just go ahead and talk about that for a second, is that there's just a lot more there. So what does that mean? It means it's going to take you a fair amount more time to build out an awesome opt-in form, because if I were to go in here and just start with the default state, if this was Bloom, I'd change a couple things, maybe change the color and click save, and I'm done. With Thrive Leads, I'm changing out the images, I'm adjusting the text, and especially for these two-step opt-ins, I've got all this stuff here, and as soon as I go to state 1, I've got to update it all again. Thrive is not the best when it comes to, adjusting it here and having it cascade over to the next state, you're going to have to kind of do those adjustments every single time, which is a little bit of a burden. And they don't make it as easy as they could in doing some of those things. Overall, it's not that big of a deal. For example, I would love to be able to copy this image. I hit Control C and just see what happens, and go into, let's say, the already subscribed state and paste it in. Doesn't work. Or with Divi, for example, I can take this and right click and say copy the module or copy the module styles and paste it or anywhere else. But because these are separated by states, I can't just duplicate it and drag it over. No, it doesn't work. You'd have to go through and create another image module and then style it the same way. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt, I will be honest. I know in some of my videos I sound like a Thrive fanboy, but I will give it its criticism where it's due, and it doesn't make it easy for you to do complex things in the same way that, like Divi, I love because they really do make copying styles and extending styles and other things very easy. That makes your workflow just much more efficient. Okay. So just to round out building out your form here, you would connect it to a service as well. We can do an API connection or an HTML connection. And you can add a new connection because this is a brand new website. So let me do that real quick and I'll be right back with you. We'll just select our tool of choice and it'll ask you for an API key. All right, so the API key was connected, so we'll select it. And then we'll have the same list that we had from Bloom and say next. Now for your opt-in actions, you have a couple different options here. So in Bloom, you had the redirect to custom URL or the success notifications. But here you have a couple other options with Thrive Leads. Because they have those multiple states feature, you can actually switch the states when they opt in. So how can you use this? I guess you could essentially almost use another state of the opt-in form, kind of like a thank you page. So if you say, hey, sign up here to get your ebook, you can actually create another state that's like a thank you page that has the download link to the ebook. I don't know if you'd really want to do that, but I guess that could be a way you could use it. Or if it's like, click here to figure out the answer to this question, you could actually have them submit and then find out the answer on a different state. Or you could reload the page. So if, for example, you have some content protection on your web page that you need them to be subscribers to see, that would be kind of advanced, but you could reload the page once they do that. A couple things there that you can do, but we'll just do a success notification. Please check your email. Complete with spelling error because we are doing this raw. All right, so we're done here. Let's save and exit this form. And then if we go back, we don't even need to embed this. If we were to make this as a shortcode, we could put it in, but this was actually created as an automatic form. So this is a new post. So if I create a few dummy paragraphs real quick. All right, so I've made 5 different dummy paragraphs, and if I preview this, what I hope to see, which I won't because I made one small mistake. So let's go back to Thrive Leads. Sorry, I'm going through this a little bit quick to save you some time. And if I go into Thrive Leads here, I actually need to activate this. So the in content I wanted to show up on desktop and on mobile. And now let's go back to our post and preview it again. So now, like my formatting said, after the 3rd paragraph, I want to see this offer. And then you can see how the states work is I can click on one and submit it. Let's just put in an email. And the success message complete with with typo is there. And you can also see the different states. Now that's pretty cool. So automatically, it knew that I subscribed, and it showed that additional state we created in Thrive Leads that said only show this to subscribers. So unfortunately, I can't show you the the other state where it would have like the social share icons, but you see how that works, which is pretty cool. So let's wrap up the feature set comparison with just kind of talking through some of these things. So when it comes to split testing and making sure you're using the right opt-in forms, the right sales copy, Thrive Leads wins in that category. You can do split tests in Bloom, but they're very limited. You can just split test 2 different opt-in forms together, trying to find the best copy or the best color to use for your opt-in form. With Thrive Leads, however, you can split test in a ribbon versus a pop-up, or you can test a slide-in versus a in-content. You can actually test the different types together within the same lead group. You can also split test, like in Bloom, what in-content form works better. You can change everything around, and you have a ton of different flexibility when it comes to split testing. It does a great job of kind of showing you those results, showing you the data behind the split test, and helping you decide which one is right. You also have the ability in Thrive Leads to select automatic winners, where you don't even have to look at it again. You can just set up the split test, let it run, and check in a month later, and one will be remaining, one will have been kind of killed off by the system that will know which one's performing better. So it's better in that regard as well. When it comes to integrations, they're both very good. They have a long list of tools that they integrate with. I'll show you here in just a second. So here I am on the Thrive Leads API connections. You can see all the different email services it connects to. It's a long list. It also connects to webinars and WordPress accounts. Now, this is a big piece. When you have somebody sign up for your opt-in, you can also create them as a user on your website. That's really big. If you want to offer a membership site or offer online courses like Thrive Apprentice, having this feature is really nice. Whereas with Bloom, it's just going to connect them to your email service provider. It's never going to talk to WordPress itself by adding users there. You can even connect it to Facebook and Twitter and things like that. So I give the slight edge over to Thrive Leads, but I think that Bloom does just as good of a job. We'll take a look at right now. So looking at Bloom here, you've got the big hitters as well. Definitely there's more on Thrive Leads, but these cover most of most that I would think you'd be using. So I don't really knock Bloom too much on that. I think if they added more, they'd be getting like the small little minority of the email service providers. So now let's talk about simplicity, because having all the customization in the world is only good if that customization actually gets you better results. So I haven't done extensive split testing between Thrive Leads versus Bloom opt-ins to see which one actually gets more conversions. That'd be a good test to do, but there's so many variables in doing that. Obviously the design of it would be one piece of it. The sales copy would be one piece of it. Ultimately though, I imagine that Thrive Leads would be able to get better conversions, but at what cost? You're going to spend more time creating those opt-in forms and making all the different states and the different logic paths and the things that you do to make it work. Whereas with Bloom, you'd have one up and running in minutes and let it go, and then create more valuable content to get people to sign up for it. So it's hit or miss. Bloom definitely wins from the simplicity perspective. Is that simplicity going to hurt your conversion rate? Time will only tell, and you kind of have to just make a decision and go with it. I think the bigger decision is going to be, are you going to use Divi or Thrive Architect? And that's probably going to drive your decision on which opt-in form you choose to use. And that kind of segues us nicely into the cost discussion. And from a cost perspective, it's kind of hard to compare because you can buy Thrive Leads alone. You cannot buy Bloom alone. So if you're just looking for an email opt-in plugin, Thrive Leads has to win because you can actually buy it. Bloom is an add-on to the Elegant Themes membership, which gives you Divi and all their themes, and Bloom and Monarch plugins as well. What's also great is that the Elegant Themes membership is a one-time fee of, I think it's $247 last time I checked, and they're probably going to run a Black Friday sale as well, so keep an eye out for that. It's a one-time fee. It's very nice. The best way to buy into the Thrive family is to get their membership, which is $19 a month, which is very reasonably priced for all the value you get from Thrive. But some people, myself included, I don't like monthly fees, but I pay the one for Thrive because I get so much value from it. All right, guys, so that was a comparison of Bloom and Thrive Leads. Let me know what you guys think about it. Which tool do you think is better from an overall perspective? Obviously, simplicity versus cost, time invested versus results. There's a ton of things that goes into buying the best tool for the job. Let me know in the comments below which one you prefer, and go ahead and like and subscribe this video and share it with your friends. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.